What's up, everybody? Welcome back to part 3 of the Career Agent for Industry. This is the Making Mountains of Molehills 3 of 10 mission, and we're going to get right into that. In the previous video, we talked about, or I talked to you about a website that hopefully this is showing you what you need to have here. And so this is the site that I was telling you about, in that it shows the ore as it runs down here, Veldspar, Scordite, Pyroxeres, and so on. It shows you per unit or per 100 units of this ore what you get, and so on and so forth. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to step into this next mission because it tells us that we need to take this blueprint, and I got here just by clicking on that, and we're going to make a unit of, let's see, they want 2 of these, right? So we're going to have to pop this into industry, and while that's going through 5 minutes per run, at least some of that time, I'll walk you through this website and sort of show you what I think some of the useful aspects of it is. So all right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to hit accept because they're giving us 6 hours, and that's more than enough time to take this, make sure that we've got the materials for it, we've got the skills, so that's good, and you always want to check that. So I clicked on the blueprint, it opened it up here. Now this shows, and this is something to keep aware of, in the industry window, or in the information window, you notice that this is a lighter blue over here than it is here. The darker blue means that it's an original blueprint, and it has usually an infinite number of runs, whereas this, if we look at the information of what they're going to give us here, it's going to give us a blueprint copy. Now, it doesn't say copy over here, but it does say that it only has 2 runs. Oh, there we go. It does say copy. So 2 runs. That means we're going to be able to make 2 of these. It is a copy of a blueprint. The material level is 5, and the time efficiency is 2. Now, what does that mean? So we can view this in industry, which will open up the window, right? So we've clicked on the blueprint to see kind of what it is. It tells us what the outcome is, and it shows that each run will give us 1 unit of this. Now, because we're doing the career agent for industry, we're going to go through and actually create all of this in the way that we're supposed to. Another way to do it, if you're in a rush and you've played the game before, is you can just open up the market. You can look for civilian afterburner, and you can see that people are selling them here, and they're not that expensive, 10,000 units give or take per item, and you can drop 20k and then earn 265 after your expenses, right? So it saves you actually having to make it. But because we're here and because we're going through the tutorial, we are going to run the here, let me move this over here real quick. We're going to run through what they want us to run through. So up here at the top of this blueprint window, and a blueprint is just like a recipe that you would use to create an object. And in the game, they're called blueprints, and there are blueprint originals and blueprint copies. And as you can see in my inventory here, I've got a blueprint original for the civilian data analyzer, just based on the color. And a blueprint copy, which is also telling us by the color, and there's only 1 run remaining here. But enough of that. We've got this, and even though we clicked on it, it'll show, a lot of times show you the original instead of the copy, and it shows us kind of what we need to know here. So in order to build it, I'm going to need 67 tritanium per afterburner, right? And I'm going to need industry 1 as a skill. I have that skill. I have that much tritanium. It tells me how long each run will take, which is 5 minutes. And this last part about material level 5 and time efficiency 2 are these items here. So this is material efficiency research, time efficiency research, and then copying. So the way you make blueprint copies is by copying a blueprint original. But to get into the material level and the time efficiency, each of these has an effect on Well, let's view it in the industry. It'll be easier to explain there. So, let's see. So I'm going to hit accept so that I have this blueprint, which means it'll show up here. There it is. And so material efficiency 5, or material level 5, and time efficiency 2. And as you can see here, you get a certain percentage. So this material efficiency 5 means that we get 5% off on the required materials. So here the materials are 67 units, right, at its base level, with 0% material efficiency and 0% time efficiency. And with because this is a researched blueprint, we're going to require 5% less materials. And 5% less materials means that we have to have 64 instead of 67, right? So if we're looking at these side by side, we've got 67 here, 64 here. Now, just walking through this whole process. One is if you don't have any of the materials here, you can buy them from the market. And a quick and easy way to do that is to hit the Buy All button. And it'll drop in the items that you have here under the required materials. It'll put in the quantities, and it'll charge you whatever the lowest price that people have a sell order in for on the market, right? So in total, 67 units is going to cost us 280 ISK, which is really pretty cheap. Now, if we come over here, and I believe there's a way to buy all here as well. So let's see. Okay, so if I right click on this, I can buy all, and notice how it's now 64 and slightly less expensive. Right clicking on the blueprint allows me to find info on the blueprint, which we're looking at here, as well as to find contracts that have it up for sale or people looking to buy it. And this tells us how many runs we're doing, and there are 2 runs remaining. So this little bay here tells us whether we want to do 1 or 2 runs. And by putting 2 here, it doubles the amount of materials that we need, right? So I can either right click here, buy this type, and it'll bring up a regular purchase window, or I can right click here, and there's a difference between buying all and buying only what you're missing, right? So just to use this as an example, I can make 22,500 runs of this blueprint because it's a blueprint original, right? Which means that there's effectively infinite runs. So I can go through one big run like this and then print out another 22,000 after that. So let's say I want to do 1,000 runs, right? I have some units of pyrite, some units of megasite, and so on and so forth, but obviously not all that I need. And you notice how they turned red here. So what we can do then is we can right click on this little arrow and buy all missing materials. So it doesn't overwrite the original buy order that we have. It just opens up this window, much like the buy all that we had previously, and puts in the quantities of only what we're missing, right? So looking at this, we've talked about, we sort of went through this in the basics a little bit, but just to get into it a little bit more, the total that we would have to have in order to purchase all of this right now is almost 40 million, as you can see here, and it puts the word in it so you can sort of make sure that you're reading that number correctly and you don't make any mistakes. Additionally, you can see over here the little arrow next to the various items and a percentage, and that tells you what percent. If the arrow is up and this item is red, that means what percentage above the nation, or the I believe it's the regional average, since it says there that is regional. That's good. What percentage above the average this particular price is, and it shows you what the best price in the station is, what the best price in the system, and the best regional price, right? So as you can see, the regional average is 59.72. We're being charged 68.97, and even though the average is 59.72, none of these 3 items that they're showing us are that low, which means that this unit is being sold, or that this material is being sold within the region, but not in anything in this local system at or below 59.72. So it's up to you as you look at these numbers whether it's something that you want to, you're willing to just bite the bullet and buy it at whatever cost there is. And as you can see, so this is 15.5% above. This is 18.3. This is 24%, 5%, and this one here means that none of this product is actually being sold in the station. So you would have to go to another station to figure that out. And one way that you can figure out where it is right click on it and view market details. So we won't go through that, but this is good information to know how to read. And if you want, say, 2 sets of these, notice how it's going to double everything. This times 2 is that times 2 is that, and now we're looking at 74 million, right? So it's good information to have, and I don't want to buy all of this, so I'm going to cancel out and get back into what we were doing. All right, so instead we're looking at this 1MN civilian afterburner blueprint. We need to do 2 runs, which it is here. We showed that this is blue, which means that we have 7,504 units of the item that we only need 128 units for. And then we start it. Now, that we only talked about this 5%, right? So the 2%, when we look over here, this thing says it's going to take us 5 minutes per run, right? So if I reduce this to 1 and we look, and the job duration only says 4 minutes and 42 seconds. And as you can see, we're getting a 2% deduction in the amount of time it would take to do 1 run based on the time efficiency, as you can see down here. Time efficiency 2%. I hover over this, it shows us there's the 2%. We also get an additional 4% reduction based on our industry 1 skill, right? Obviously I don't have very many skills in industry here, but for every skill level in that, I would decrease the amount of time it would take to make a product. So, all right, and the job itself, and here's where the costs come from, is going to cost 17 ISK per job run. I'm going to do 2, so that's going to jump to 32. It shows you where all of that money is coming from and why we're being charged that. And the total time it's going to take is 9 minutes and 24 seconds. So I'm going to hit start. It charges me 32, and then it shows in my jobs list, right? So all right, so I'm not going to talk to you for 10 minutes while that goes, but what I am going to do is I'm going to show you this website here. So this website and one other. In one of the previous videos, we talked about the Eve Central site that shows you the marketplace, and we're going to start talking about the ore and what you want to mine and what you don't. Yeah, I know. And so most people, or at least the way I've been told, and I could be totally off base on this, but most people who mine for profit and want to just sell it generally look for an item that they can access easily and that has the highest ISK per meters cubed, right? So what that says is you've got 1,000, let's say you've got, I don't know, you're like in a venture and you've got 5,000 units of ore inventory space in your hold, right? So one of your limiting factors is how much you can carry around with you at any given point in time. Can you pick up, so every time you fill your hold with 5,000 units, you're either going to need to jettison it and put it in a can and then come back for it later, or you're going to need to go back to the station, dump it, and then come back, right? So the more each load is worth, the better use of your time, basically, right? So now, the first number of these, the first bunch of these are available in HiSec, and I think only in specific realms. I'd have to look this up, and I'm sure that actually this this website will tell me if I know where to look, and I'm not sure I do, but let's see. Cost index, ore calculator. Yeah, that takes me here. Let's see. All right, well, it doesn't tell me in a place that I know how to access easily. When I find it out, I will tell you probably in the next video. But, so you want to look at this column here, which is ISK per meters cubed. Now, in high sec, at least I've always been able to find these first four in any of the asteroid fields, generally speaking. Veldspar and Scordite it's just sort of more common the higher up you go. In 0.5 space, you're going to very easily find pyroxeres and plagioclase. In order to find amber, kernite, jaspit, and even hemorphite in high sec, you're going to have to find a cosmic anomaly where it's a field where that is specifically spawning. And so you want to have your display scanner up, or your probe scanner up, when you're flying around if you want to see these things. And I'll show you how to do that when we're back out in space. But so you can see right here that at least of the top four, that the most lucrative one to mine for money is plagioclase, right? At 277.86 ISK per cubic meter of inventory space, right? And so it's important to note, as you look at these things, that 1 unit of each of these ore takes up a different amount of space. So Veldspar only takes up, 1/10 of 1 cubic meter. Scordite 15 hundredths, and so on and so forth, as you can see down here. So it's this little column right here with the ISK per meters cubed saves you having to do the math of, if I'm able to fill 3 times as much Veldspar as pyroxeres, but pyroxeres sells for, this, and it saves you having to do the math, which is good because a lot of people don't like math. But anyway, so you look at this, you figure out what you have access to, and generally speaking, it makes the most sense to mine what has the highest ISK per meters cubed, store it up, and I've heard it said, and I think it's a valid point, that it's only worth reprocessing your ore like we did if you have your reprocessing skills maxed out. If you don't, it makes a lot more sense, and it's generally better money to just sell the ore as it is, as opposed to reprocessing it and then selling the minerals like tritanium, pyrite, mexilon, and so on. So keep that in mind when you go mining. Skilling entirely into the reprocessing skills takes like a year to get all of them to level 5. So if that's what you want to do, by all means, knock yourself out. And when you do a comparison, unfortunately, I don't have enough ore to show you the difference here. But maybe in the next video I will. But yeah, so basically what you want to do is until you have your skills all up, you just want to sell the ore raw and don't bother trying to process it and sell it separately. So that's this site, and that's the fuzzwork.co.uk, and this is actually a good resource and worth using for other things. But for now, let's just leave it at that. Eve Central, which is what I was telling you about as sort of an online market aggregator, allows you to look up whatever it is that you need or want and see what its prices are across basically all of Eve, right? And so on their main page, evecentral.com, it shows you how much tritanium is selling for and all of the various minerals, right? Which is actually pretty handy. So if you just go straight to to their base page, it shows you in JITA, which is one of the trade hubs. This is how much the lowest cost for tritanium is, and this is the median, right? And this shows both selling and buying. So people are buying it at 3.87 and they are selling it at 3.94. So if you need to buy it, you're going to be looking at this column here. And that's across the board. So like hypothetically speaking, if we wanted to go and find a civilian afterburner, we could type that in here, and it shows us not only the location that these are being sold, the price, and it's based, right now it's like ordering by quantity. You remember that they're 10,000 units over in the game in the station that I'm in, or 10,000 ISK per unit. And you can see that you can actually buy them out here in Iridia for 120. So somebody's able to make money on that. Now, there's only a quantity of 1 there, so if you want to fly out into nullsec, which is what this means, buy 1 unit and make, 9,800 ISK, that's up to you. But usually the risk reward isn't worth it. So, so here's Jita. You know, so if you were near Jita, you would see, okay, it's worth, I can buy it for 612 units here. You can also scroll all the way down, and they'll show you the opposite side of it, which is the buy orders. And so people actually have posted buy orders at 600 and so on, all the way down to here. So that's Eve Central and Fuzzworks, and I find both of those very useful. There are a number of other websites that I think are useful as well, but we don't need to get into them now because they, yeah, it'll just confuse you, and having too much going on right now is a little much. So I'm going to leave it there. We'll go back to the game. It looks like I did talk for like 8 or 9 minutes, and our afterburner is almost done being made, and so I can stop it midway through. I don't want to do that though. And yeah, I see the time left there and here, and it's grayed out because we're currently working on it right now. And once we're done with that, the blueprint will actually go away. So I'm being harassed by a dog here, and another dog wants to come over and get some attention. So we've got like 20 seconds left. I can try to reprocess this, but it won't let me because you need at least 100 units. But one thing to note is that this, what I was going to point out before, is that the estimated price here, this is how you compare and decide whether it's worth selling your, whether it's worth reprocessing or just selling the ore raw. So if your 969 ISK, or whatever the estimated price is on this side, is greater than the estimated price of the output results, then you're looking at basically that it's worth more to sell this way than it is to sell the materials. It looks like the dogs are going to play. So I'm going to deliver these units. They drop here into my inventory in the item hanger, and I just complete the mission. And we're good to go. There's the money. They gave us this expanded cargo hold. It showed up there. And that's that. So, hey, girls. So thanks for tuning in. That was, I guess, step 3 of making mountains of molehills. And, yeah, we got some agitated dogs here. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time, and check out the links below if you want to see some of the sites that we were talking about. Thanks a lot.